Hey, Fern Finley here with another How to Adult, and I'm going to be doing an apricot chicken. It's a fairly simple dish. It takes about 3 to 4 ingredients, and yeah, let's get into it. So I've got here what's called a Dutch oven. You can use any casserole dish. So I'm just going to put some olive oil in here, and I've got this already heated up. So going with the theme of last time of doing things as they need to be done and having things out as they're required, I've got my other ingredients over here already. So we're just going to wait for that to heat up nicely. And while we're waiting for that to happen, I have just above it just some instant French onion soup. It just requires a little bit of hot water, so I'm just going to make that up. Follow the instructions. I'm just going to put some hot water straight in there. So that's my French onion soup, and behind it's the other ingredient I'm using. So these are really good to keep on hand because you could just want a soup and eat it, or you can turn it into lovely soups and other dishes and use it as a flavouring. So I'm just going to give that a stir so it's not too lumpy. So I'm basically making this sauce as the pan's heating up. This won't take too long. My family usually uses the diced chicken breast, but it's one of those ones where you can use pretty much whatever you want, really. So again, I've got my apricot nectar. This is what makes it apricot chicken. So I'm just going to add this in unceremoniously. If you end up with more than you want to use, you can just drink it, which is great. When it comes to canned drinks, this actually says on it, fruit drink. You can get actual nectar, but this is just what I have. This is good for its purpose. And this time around, I actually have a stand for my camera. Woo! Yay! So that should be fairly hot enough now on a high heat. So I've got these drumsticks I've had in the freezer that need using up. Yeah. It's a little frosty, but that's fine. So, you see that? That is what you want. I'm going to turn that heat down a bit. So, I'm putting half of them in, and then I'm going to let them go a more golden colour. See how they're going more golden? A little bit cooked. You want that. And yes, it's going to spit at you. That's where you wear appropriate clothes when you cook. So something with sleeves, something that's not bare-chested. So I've got a full kilo of chicken here. And it's just me, but the advantage of making more than you actually need is I have the equivalent of 3 dinners here. I won't have to cook for the next 2 nights. So, as you can see there, they're still a little bit frozen. So, doing this step helps just to defrost them that little bit more. So you're not trying to cook raw chicken straight up. So usually you'd use smaller cuts of chicken meat, the breast, fillet, thigh stock, that sort of stuff. But this is a very flexible. You can use just about any one you want. You can even skip this step and just use a roast chook you bought from the shops. And just shred it up, make up the sauce, put it in the sauce, and basically marinate it and then cook it. So this is something that Mum makes when she's got a big family around. There are a lot of us in my family. So a lot of my recipes that I got from her are geared up to feed up to 6 people or more. Because you've got 3 brothers, 2 parents, 1 of me. This soup already has a thickener in it, so you don't need to use starch or anything like that. It's just going to automatically thicken on its own accord. One of the reasons why I usually don't put as much water in it as it says to. So I'm going to pour that in now. Oh, that looks so good. Smells good too. Already smells like apricot chicken. One thing that people like to do is to get dried apricots, slice them up and chuck them in there. I can't be bothered. That and I don't have apricots. So on goes the lid, and this is just going to stew and do its thing for the next hour. And while you're waiting, you make up a lovely bowl of rice. And rice is a good accompaniment. So I may as well give you 2 for the price of 1 with this video. I usually use the pot I'm currently using for my for cooking my rice in general. So I've got a pot. I'll move the camera over so you guys can see, because it's just sitting on a unused pot. So there is, oops, measures. And my rice close to hand. Now when it comes to rice, it usually comes down to preference. And I prefer the medium grain. That's just me though. Most of you probably have long grain rice. And that's perfectly fine. Scissors. Little medical ones. So I have 1 cup of rice. I'll go back in my container. Now, 1 and a half of water. And I'm going to put that on high. Until it comes up to the boil. Give it a stir and then turn the temperature all the way down and just let it do its thing. So pot goes on. Now I'll top up my rice box. Here we go. Yay, new thing be new. I've used this before, and they're actually not that bad. These are a bit bigger than I thought they were. But if you want to make coconut rice, you can get these sachets of coconut milk powder. I'll show you in a minute. So 250 mils are already in there. You can hear that the thing's heating up, which is nice. There's my fork. My stirry thing. So that's the thing, is you can use chicken stock to cook your rice in. You can use coconut milk. You can use a whole plethora of things that'll come out with yumminess. Oh, stop it, I'll go. Put my milk powder. And you put this in instantly. Instantly smell the milk, the coconut in it. Excuse the oxidize. I suggest you put the milk in with the water and then put it in. You don't want milky goodness. One of the fun parts of, once this is cooked, you just add a bit of sweetener and you've instantly got a rice pudding. So leftover rice is very good for many different things. So that's fairly well sorted. Okay. So I'm just going to put that lid on for a bit. One thing people don't know is Australia is one of the biggest exports on rice in the world. Now, swap it over. Now, this is something that you want. Condensation. It means that in here is doing its job. Look at that. That's good. So you want to kind of rotate these ones on top and the bottom so they cook a bit more evenly. I can get them here. Pull you up. And you can already see that these are going that lovely orange colour from the nectar. And you can also see that the sauce is a lot thicker. It's gorgeous. And my rice is starting to bubble. I'm going to turn it right down onto low. And that's the fun part with rice, is you have to be really on top of it, or it will boil everywhere. I'm not even joking about that. So let's have a quick little look. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what I'm talking about, milk powder. You can get this at any major grocery chain in the don't know what happened just there, but my camera decided to turn off on me. So I'm going to give this a stir so it doesn't catch on the bottom. That's one of the biggest issues when you're adding things to rice other than water, is it's going to want to stick to the bottom. So that's always the intent of stirring whatever is in a pot, is to make sure that it doesn't burn on the bottom. So if something's starting to catch, you can just pick it up and throw it somewhere else before it burns and puts that flavour through the entire dish. I'm actually going to take that off the heat for a little bit. Put it partially on because it's still too hot. So rice does actually take a fair while to cook. So I've just turned the temperature down on the chicken, put its lid back on as well, so I get the convection so that the top of the chicken cooks as well. So while that's happening, sit back, keep an eye on it, and have a cup of tea. Oh, that's good tea. especially keep a nice eye on your rice. You do not want to overcook it. At the moment, every time I put it on the hot plate, it starts boiling. That's not what I want. That's a better patch. My new stand's not quite working as well as I was hoping, but being a homemade one, can't really blame it. It's not one of those ones where you can just twist the knob and there we go, it's sorted out. So you can see that the rice is getting bigger and it's coming more to the top. And there is a difference in the flavour and fragrance to the fresh coconut milk. So do keep that in mind. With all the brands that I'm showing you, I'm not saying that you have to use that particular one. I'm not being endorsed by them. This is just what I have in my kitchen that I use frequently. This is just stuff that I just have always had on hand in my cupboard. Look at that chicken. That sauce is just amazing. So if you're doing large chunks of meat like this, you will get that happen. That's fine. They'll cook out and become part of the gravy. Bloody chicken! At least we don't have to be aware of the rabbit. Run away! Run away! Rabbit tastes pretty good actually. Yeah. You can actually take the skin off these if you want beforehand, or you can boil them beforehand to give them an easier cooking. So, the more in the sauce they are, the better. As I said, the chicken's going to take quite a while to cook, and if you're using very large pieces in a small pot like this, it's going to take you hours. So what you can do is get a square casserole dish and shove it in the oven. That'll do everything for you. This isn't normally how I do my rice. I normally don't put the coconut milk in. It cooks differently. But this will make for an extra flavour aspect. Quite nice. But you can see the texture coming up. I'll actually add that to my list. Tripod. the end of this, I'll end up having very little to clean up apart from my pots and whatever I eat out of. Along with that bowl I used previously for the soup mix. So I use the evaporative method. Story behind that is about 5 years ago, if not further back, I was share housing with a couple of Korean ladies. Absolutely lovely. And apart from the European method, and even then I got it wrong, I could not cook rice for shit. So, of course, their culture is big on rice. So I've just turned around and gone, how do you cook your rice perfect every time? So they taught me the absorption method. And the only time you get it wrong is when you put too much water in. That chicken is going along very nicely. Very nicely indeed. Usually for measuring out rice by memory, for every 1 cup you put in, you get about 3 cups out. So it expands quite exponentially. There's really only one way to test if it's ready when it's like this, and that's to actually eat it. And that is crunchy as all hell. And because that's running out of liquid, I'm going to add liquid. Put the lid on it. And if you end up with too much liquid in there, you just turn the heat off, put the lid on, and just leave it there, and the rest of it will absorb in. Or you can do what I've just been doing the whole time, leave the lid off and let that evaporate out. It just means your rice is going to be overcooked. Perfectly edible though. Yum. Can't wait for this to be done. Can't wait for this to be done. Oh, how I want to eat it all. I can't wait. I can't wait for this to be done. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait for my dinner. I can't wait. I can't So staying around making things don't stick and burn is why people are in the kitchen for so long. And it's also why people get upset when you're late for dinner. Because they've literally spent an hour out of their day to give you something to eat. So, meat has a tendency to shrink when it cooks, and that doesn't mean you're getting less meat. That just means that the muscle is doing what it naturally does, and that is retract when it hits heat. And that's working in our favour because the pan was overcrowded, now it's not. I gotta stop being impatient and just let it do its thing. So the rice will probably take another 10 minutes. This will take until it's cooked. And that is frustrating. So have fun trying to entertain yourself during this point in time. Okie dokie. This is looking a hell of a lot better. This has been in the pot for a good 20 minutes, just simmering away like this with the lid on. So now we have the chicken beautifully cooked. The meat's starting to come away from the bone. It's getting there. It's still got a bit to cook, but the fact that the meat's coming away is what we want. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take the lid off, leave the lid off, turn the temperature up a bit, and let that broil out and have this liquid evaporate, and we'll make a beautiful sauce. Now, what I've done with the rice is I've just scraped the bottom of the pan. You can see it's just sticking that little bit. So it's cooked. It's done. It's nice. And it's got that nice light flavour of the coconut in there. And it's sticky. It's coconutty and it's sticky and it's nice. So you just put the lid on that. Don't be fussy what lid you put on there. And that will just continue steaming. So yeah, this is coming along quite nicely. Put it up on nice and high. And when you're to this point, you can throw some veggies in there if you want. I'm not really going to bother. Normally I would get some of that pre-cut stir-fry freezer stuff that you just throw in. I'm keeping this simple and easy. So if you're health conscious and you want to get a few more greens, just go ahead. But make sure this evaporates a bit first, because that'll get messy otherwise. Yay! So this extra temperature will help cook this chicken and help cook it to the point where it falls off the bone, which is what we're trying to do. So I turned the temperature up a bit too high, but that's just to get started, so it's all good. That looks so good. Yum 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 yum. So now that it's causing a lot of this steam, I'm going to turn the fan on, which is going to make it a bit hard to hear me. And that's fine, because I'll see you guys again. As you've noticed, this video is being a bit edited because of how long it is. When this has thickened down again. So I want this basically to reduce to half its actual size in fluids. There we go. So it's been a bit of time, and I put some veggies in for good measure. And as you can see, this is beautiful. Hardly any pressure, and it's just, that is what you want. That's very well, perfectly cooked. That is literally fell apart. That is what you want. So you can leave the bones in if you want, but as you can see, it's just so easy to just clean everything off the bones and pull it out. So this is beyond shredding up the chicken and pulling bones out only if you want to. This is ready to be served on top of our yummy yummy rice. Take the knuckle out. But yeah, that's real basic pot dinner. And me on my own, this'll be a good 2-3 meals, easy. And just look how easy that's all falling apart. And I'm using very little pressure. Just knuckle out. Give it a little shake. Because, you know, bones. But yeah, this is a very easy dish to make. If you're using a pre-cooked chook and you've just shredded the meat up, it'll take a lot less time to cook. So you can easily have this as a 20-minute dish that's ready to come out as soon as the rice is done. Oh, whoa. That's how well done you want this. That meat just literally fell off as I pulled that out of the dish. That is good. That is nice. And you can see the bone is fairly well clean. It's going more towards the browns. And you can always tell by the bone and its colour how well cooked your chicken is. I didn't even try to get the meat off that. It just literally just, this is going to be so tender and delicious. It's going to be great. So there will be a few knuckles in there. There will be a few bones, but that's fine. Is there? There's got to be another bone in here. Ah, found it. Under this hunk of meat. And again, this just fell apart. And you can tell that it was up to here. It's now reduced. Just by leaving the lid off. Everything's cooked beautifully. And as I said, I just threw some stir fry greens. Get them in the freezer section. They're really good because you don't have to worry about wasting food, it's just there. So meat is well and truly done. That is good. That is nice. Doing it this